go back to sleep. Thank you, Jeff Wright, for that. It's based on the Rumi poem. And don't go back to sleep requires that we first wake up. Yes? And so our theme for this month is Listen to Your Heart. And today specifically, the talk title is The Great Work of Your Life. And that very much requires that we wake up. And that's really kind of challenging to do in a world that would have us really follow the herd principle and be quite asleep. So it creates some rub for us from time to time. Or maybe that's just me. That's always possible. Today I want to talk about this concept of Dharma. And Dharma being understood as our life path. But not from the human perspective, but from the spiritual perspective. Understanding that whatever this amazing, magnificent, all-encompassing thing is it creates, that it expands its experience of itself in, through, and as its creation. And so, while I really, and I know some folks do, and I want to honor that, I just don't happen to believe that I came here with a script. I didn't come here with an agreement from something outside of myself. But I do believe that every single one of us came here as a living, breathing, physical emanation of a desire of the divine's heart. And that's the life calling that I want to talk about today. And how the heck do we even figure out what that is? There's a great book by Gary Hendricks, The Big Leap. And it really articulates beautifully. He talks about our zones of genius. He talks about our zones of expression. And he lays out 4 zones of expression, which the first 3, as I read them and sit with them, they really live in the land of Shuddhapedia, with all of those volumes of all of those things that we should do, that we are raised to believe is just how our life is supposed to be. So the first zone that he talks about, the zone of expression, is the zone of incompetence. Now, I don't know about you, but I've spent a lot of time struggling in the zone of incompetence. That place where I am doing things that I think I should do that I really am no good at. In fact, many of those things I am brilliantly bad at. And yet, because I'm supposed to, because I should do these things, I have continued to do them. And like many of us, that leads to a pretty miserable existence here on planet Earth. And there's something more available to us. The second zone of expression that he talks about is the zone of competence. I relate to that as the zone of, I can get by in this zone. It's that place where I'm comfortable, but I'm still not good at it. Where I meet, on those job descriptions, if I had a job description for, my human life, that one that says meets minimum requirements. And for me, that's that zone of competence, where I'm meeting the minimum requirements, but I'm not enjoying any sense of excelling. I'm not enjoying any growth. I'm not challenging myself. And then he talks about the zone of excellence, which is where we do things really, really well. And he describes it as potentially one of the greatest traps. Because we get into that groove where we do it really, really well, we're receiving some accolades, it's highly likely that we're getting paid well for what we're doing, and we're just in the zone of, I can do this, I feel good about me, other people feel good about me, it's giving me all kinds of rewards on this human level, and we settle into a comfort zone. And the danger is staying there. Because that can be our greatest limitation. And limiting ourselves to our zone of excellence. I know myself, I have argued to stay in my limitation of my zone of excellence. This is what I do really well, so just let me do it really well. And yet, even in that zone of excellence, there's often an experience of what I call divine discontent. Because there's something more in each of us that wants to express. Last week we talked about learning to listen to our heart. And perhaps there is a sacredness to divine discontent. Perhaps it is that divine spark. It is nudging us to be more than we know we can be. Not necessarily to do more than we're doing, but to be more. Ernest Holmes says it this way. We each exist and have come into being so the divine spark, fire, impulse, creativity may be consciously expressed and not limited. We each are uniquely poised to express our special gifts, talents, and strengths that only we can. It is the call of life itself, seeking to express itself in new, fresh ways, and we are tasked with answering the call to find the God within us and embody that, to lift up that divine spark. And I assure you that will take you out of your comfort zone in this human realm. There is something so magnificent in every one of us seeking to express beyond the human us that we recognize that it's transformative. And when I use the word transformative, I am using it in its truest sense. True transformation means the previous version of a thing is no longer accessible or recognizable. The butterfly is an example of transformation. The caterpillar, from whence the butterfly came, no longer accessible, no longer recognizable. And I often wonder, just take you to a short journey through the mental wanderings of Reverend Rafe. I often wonder when I look at a butterfly, does it know it was ever a caterpillar? Does it even have a memory of its caterpillarness? I don't know. But I know I wonder that sometimes. And I think that curiosity comes from this divine discontent that I often experience as cognitive dissonance and a deep attachment to my zone of excellence. Because I wonder if I really step into my zone of genius, if I really let go of all the things and the people and the places that build my identity, that limit my understanding of me. Now what I tell myself are those things made me, but perhaps those things limit me from fully being me if I attach myself to them. And so my wondering this morning is, will I be the butterfly? Will I risk no longer having the former me accessible? Nothing to go back to. Will I risk being unrecognizable in my new form in order to express, to most fully express whatever that divine spark is that I understand today to be the very desire of creation itself, to know itself as my life, as its life, as me, more accurately? Will I take that leap? And what will it take for me to take that leap? Well, in the very practical nuts and bolts sense, first I have to understand what's actually happening. First I have to understand that knock at my heart's door is not some stranger seeking entry, but it is the best of me, the truth of me, seeking expression. And then I have to begin to understand what that might be. And even as I begin to understand what it might be, I have to be willing to let go of all of the ideas and how I think that's going to play out. Because I have to recognize that my best thinking comes from the past. And to be truly transformed, I have to let go of that. To be willing to be made new. To be willing to express a new me in the great works of my life without any reference to my past, without any connection to my present. That's a courageous move. I have to learn to listen differently. Because my ego listens for solutions. Because my ego is always navigating problems. And perhaps there's no problem, and perhaps there's no solution required. Perhaps this divine nudge is just a calling on our lives. It's a calling. It's that thing that we desire to do the most and imagine ourselves doing the least. It's that thing where we tell ourselves, often secretly, in the silence of our own thoughts, if I just had this, I could do that. If I just had that, I could do that. It's the that is the calling. And what if, just imagine, just play with it for the moment. Play with me here, okay? What if we really lean into just the possibility that I can do that and I don't have to figure out how to do it? That I don't have to come up with the resources to make it happen? That perhaps all we have to do is say yes. To just say yes. Just to answer the call. We don't have to have a strategic plan to express the infinite as us. Why? Because law already knows how to do it. The soul already knows exactly how to express itself. It's simply waiting for our yes. to do it. The human me doesn't have to know how. This bubble that rides around on the top of my shoulders doesn't have to figure it out. And that's hard sometimes, because I have 60 years of being told, I gotta figure it out. And then all of a sudden, here comes this teaching, this expansive principle that says principle is never bound by precedent. So everything I've been told doesn't dictate right now. To me, that is the greatest freedom available. And so we get to be free. We get to be free to dive into the unknown, to find the God in me. Now, I'm going to wrap this in inclusion and in oneness, because if you've known me for more than 30 seconds, you know that's my calling. Here's the thing. I cannot see the brilliance in you if I won't see it first in me. I can't include you until I first include me. Because without doing my work first, I'm like the indigenous people standing at the shore of the ocean. They can't see the ship because they have no knowledge of a ship. They have no frame of reference. And so I invite you today, do your work. Do your work. Because that is the most powerful thing we can do to bring about an experience of oneness on this planet. We are being given an amazing opportunity right now. Because just like we created the social structures that are being challenged, we can create new ones that are inclusive. Instead of an economy that prioritizes money over people, we, in the same exact way, can create an economy that prioritizes people over money. We don't have to eliminate, we have to integrate, we have to include. We can create, just like we created a society that is based in racial oppression, we can create a society where everyone, and I do mean everyone, is free. And in the truth of oneness, until every single one of us is free to be that zone of genius, to express exactly who we are, to be celebrated as an amazing, unrepeatable, intentional, magnificent creation of the divine, none of us are free. And so I invite you to take everything you know about spirituality and do your work, knowing that as you heal you, the whole heals with you. Include all of you. Include your zone of incompetence, include your zone of competence, include your zone of excellence, and move into a zone of genius. A zone of being what you came here to be. I'm going to go into prayer. And for those of you who know our teachings, we have a 5-step model of prayer. First step is recognizing what is. Second one is recognizing that we are that, unified with it. The third step is a step of revelation, of declaration. And then gratitude, and then release. And so during the third step of my closing treatment, I'm going to read a poem called The Call by Ernest Holmes. So I invite you just to go within, to know with me that there is only one, infinite, ever-present, always one, magnificence that creates out of itself, by itself, to be itself. And that's how I know I am that in form. Created out of it, by it, to be it, to express it. There is a call in the very core of my being. This I saw, or else some greater presence made it known to me. The universe is filled with life, the earth, the sky, the sea, and teemed with intelligence, with majesty, and with might. Deep within me some subtle inner sight beholds and sees, comprehends, and knows all. No fears, no falters, but answers the divine call to be as one beyond the bonds of time and space, to overcome the bondage of this human race, and to leap with trust, undaunted and free, into the depths of that infinite sea, whose waters calm are ready to receive those who in simple faith believe. And so I speak my words, saying yes to this call, yes to diving into the depths of the sea, yes to surrendering my attachment to who I think I am, to who knows who I am. I surrender the human expression to the divine expression. I say yes with deep gratitude, with that faith that does believe. Yes. And as I say yes, I feel it lift. I feel the limitations dissipate. That is the release. That is handing it off to the activity of creation. I don't need to do another thing. To just simply live the yes. So I invite you to join me, to make this your own, to say yes, even in this moment, to the unknown of the unfolding of you, with faith that it's perfect, whole, complete, and magnificent. To release with me as we say together, Amen, Ashe, I hope, and so it is.